Well, hey again, everyone. This is Bob from Hot Rock Central, and in today's video, we're going to be focusing on 24 volt, 120 volt only inverters, and the high wattage variety, like 4 kW and above. About as high as you can go on a 24 volt inverter is about 6 kW, and I've got one right there, and that's really the only company right now that makes a 6,000 watt 24 volt inverter. The next closest is Ames. Ames makes a 24 volt 5 kW inverter, but it's a high frequency inverter, and it doesn't have the surge rating that a low frequency inverter does. The Ames is good for 10,000 surge. This Genetry up here is good for about 18,000 watt surge. Other than that, there's a lot of other brands in between. I did just recently check out a company called Expert Power. They make a 5 kW low frequency inverter that was quite reasonable. It was like 800 bucks. But when I went to order it, I found out they were out of stock, so I couldn't get one. So I contacted the company to find out if if I could get on a waiting list when they get some more made. And I sent actually a couple of emails to them and tried to call them on the phone. They don't even answer the phone, and you can't leave a message. They have a message machine there, but the message machine is full, so you can't leave a message. And they never did reply to any of my emails. So I'll tell you something: if you got a company that's not going to reply to emails or phone calls, that's a company you don't want to do business with, no matter how good the product is. Because if something goes wrong, you're not going to be able to get a hold of nobody. That's like this Salimba over here. This was actually my second inverter, and I used this for quite a few years. And it's actually a very good inverter, but it's got a bad board on it now. And they don't sell them too much anymore. You can find a few on eBay and over on Amazon. But their main presence right now is over on Newegg. And on Newegg, they have a message center for the company where you can contact them, to have some correspondence with them. But when I tried sending them a couple emails, I'm not getting any response from them either. Back in when I first got their inverter, I had to replace the board on it one time. And at that time, they had a website and they had a phone number, and you could actually call and get somebody to answer the phone. But now you can't get a hold of nobody. So even though the Salimba inverters are still available right now, I would never buy one of those because, again, no customer service. Now, before I even got the Salimba, I can't remember the exact brand name. It's like WRLZB or something like that. And it's a pretty popular brand on eBay and Amazon. And when I got that in and hooked it up, all the lights flickered all over the place. So it was really a crappy inverter. I mean, it may have put out the power that it was rated for, but who can stand watching the lights flickering all the time? It just drove me crazy. So that got sent back. And just recently, I've tried out a few other of those cheaper sine wave inverters, and I got one of those. It goes by something like LCMYW or something like that, MW or whatever. And a lot of those type inverters come with these fuses. And so I got one off Amazon, and the darn thing arrived dead on arrival. So I opened it up and checked the fuses out because they give you extra fuses when you order it. And I found it had 4 blown fuses in it, and I put those 4 fuses in, hooked it back up to the battery, and it blew out those 4 fuses. So anything you buy that uses these fuses, and there's a lot of them out there that use these type of fuses, I wouldn't trust them. I wouldn't mess with them, not anymore. And then I just recently tried out the Viver brand. They had a 5 kW 24 volt inverter, and I got it hooked up, and it lit up good and everything. But when I went to start up my well pump, which is my highest amp draw item that in my system, uh, it actually dropped the voltage down so low that it kicked my backup relay, which is hooked up to the grid, over to the grid. Is the voltage dropped down so low because it couldn't accept the load coming from that well pump. So I had to send that back. So really, there's not much choice of 24 volt inverters that you can buy anymore. Uh, just that Gentry up there, that's a excellent inverter. I've had that running for a couple of years now, and that one there is almost 3 years old, but that's a 48 volt version there. But I'm going to eventually get that converted over to 24 volts. And other than that, really the only thing that I've been able to find out there is an Ames inverter. It's a 5 kW inverter, but it's not a low frequency inverter. It's high frequency, and the surge rating on it is only 10,000, whereas the Gentry up here, being a low frequency, it's about an 18 kW surge. So that's quite a bit of difference. So really, that's all you've got to pick from right now for a 24 volt inverter. And a lot of you out there are not going to need 230 volts because you're setting up a cabin out in the woods somewhere, or doing like I'm doing. I'm kind of like sort of like doing that. I'm out in the suburbs, but I'm living like I'm out in the country in a cabin. And everything I've got runs off 120 volts. Even my clothes dryer up there runs off 120 volts, and my well pump is 120 volts. So, I didn't have a need for 48 volts or 230 volts. And, of course, you can get 48 volt inverters that are high wattage, 6 kW and up, no problem. But the thing is on split phase inverters, whatever the rating is, let's say you get a 10 kW split phase inverter, you can only get 5,000 watts out of it on the 120 volt side, on each 120 volt side. But Salimba down there is one of the reasons why I got their inverter, is because that actually is a 220 volt inverter, a split phase inverter. But for some reason, it's one of the only inverters I've ever found that can put out the full wattage on just 120 volts. So that's what I like about that inverter. That's why I'd like to get it restored if I could. So anyways, when it comes to 24 volt inverters, that's really all you got a choice of right now for something that's decent. Now, I haven't bought an Ames inverter to try it out, but I understand Ames has got a pretty good reputation, so it sounds like it could be a good inverter. The only thing is their 5 kW inverter costs about $1,200 and doesn't have the surge rating that the Gentry has up there, and the Gentry's 1,000 watts more, and it's only a couple $100 more. So, when you're going to make a choice on an inverter, a high-powered inverter, it looks like the only thing that's available right now that's decent is one of those Gentry inverters. And unfortunately, they're not easy to come by because the guy's building them down in his basement. He's building some great inverters, but there's a back order on them. People are just waiting to get their hands on them because he can't do it full time because he's not making enough money off it for some reason. So he's out working a regular job, and at night he's coming into his house, going in the basement, building these inverters. So there you go. That's the story on 24 volt, 120 volt inverters. They're far and few between, and if you want one, Ames and Gentry is about the only choice you got right now. So anyways, I think that's all I got for this video, gang. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.